Aloha, I'm Chef Chai. Today I'm going to show you how to make a Filipino pork adobo. But as most of my food in my restaurant, we like to make one step further. So rather than just make a pork belly adobo, I'm going to fry it after I make the adobo. So it's nice, crunchy, a good texture. So what we have here, this is a pork. For this one, I use a pork belly. I like to keep the skin on, because when you fry it, the skin gonna make a nice texture. So you want to make sure you clean this. Sometimes when you buy the one with the skin on in the market, often they're gonna have some hair. So you want to make sure you clean really good. And you're gonna cut is about 2 inches or 1.5 inches thick. So very simple. I'm gonna put a little bit of oil. Then I'm just gonna sear the skin part only. And you want to cook the pork, the skin part, probably about 3 or 4 minutes or so, to make sure that the skin is nice and brown. Some people even brown the meat on both sides, but because this one is not the traditional adobo, we're going to simmer and then let it stay in the sauce for overnight. So you want to make sure that we're going to add a little bit more oil in there. Now you want to let it sit for about 3 to 5 minutes. Do not move them, do not turn them out. So let them cook, and they're going to make their own magic. So you want to sear the pork for about 3 to 5 minutes. You want to make sure the skin kind of brown. You can see the skin is tightened up a little bit, so that's okay. So I'm going to turn it on the other side. Now we want to brown the meat side also, just a few minutes. Since we're going to braise it, the brown side is not that important. So we're going to add, this is a chicken stock. Just like what I did at the other recipe, you want to make sure that your stock is nice and hot. And now we're going to season the adobo. So what I have here, this is a black peppercorn. I just crush it. You don't want to use the ground black pepper. You want to be more like coarses like that. So black pepper. Same thing with this on garlic. You can put a whole one, or you can crush a little bit, because we're going to simmer the adobo for about an hour or two. So you don't need to crush them. So I like to use whole garlic. Then we're going to add a little bit of onion. You don't want to cut a small size either. I just cut in a big chunk. We're going to add some bay leaves. Then we're going to season. This is very important. In any adobo, you need a vinegar. So now this part is depending on how acidity you like. You can add a little bit more, you can add a little bit less. But if you follow my recipe, this one is perfect. Then we can add a little bit of soy sauce. We're going to make the sauce, and we're going to make the pork stay in there for like overnight. This one we're going to add also oyster sauce. You can use any brand that you have. And we're going to add sugar. Sugar is also very important for this one. And I added some green onion, but I use the stem part only. Then you want to let the pork boiling. And then after it comes to a full boil, then you want to lower the heat down to a simmer and let it cook. Normally for the pork this size, I cook about an hour and a half, depending on how tender you like it. So after you cook it for about an hour, I let the pork sit overnight in the sauce. So this way, the pork have a very, very nice flavor in there. And for the liquid, I just going to strain it. Now you can reduce as much as you like, but just keep in mind the more you reduce, the more concentrate it's going to get. So if you don't want to concentrate, then don't reduce too long. So I'm going to show you. So this is going to be, I'm going to use this as a dipping sauce into the adobo. Now, after I let the pork cook for about an hour and a half or so, I let it stay in the liquid overnight. Then the next day you want to bring it out, remove the meat from the sauce, and you want it to put in the refrigerator. You want the meat kind of dry out, because if it have too much liquid when you fry, it's going to splash all over. So this is the pork that is done. We're going to fry this, but before I fry, I kind of section the pork a little bit, the skin only. You want to cut only about 1/4 inch thick on the skin, not on the meat. What it does is, when you fry it, it will give you a, when you cut it, it will be much easier. Then, to make sure you have the oil, it's very hot. The oil should hot about 350 to 375 degrees. Then we're going to fry them. Now, if you want to make sure the oil is hot, if the oil is not hot, this dish is not good. So I'm going to wait a little bit, so I'm going to cut a couple more pieces. I section all the meat out. Now you don't have to cut the skin. If you don't want to, you can just fry the whole thing. I just found that when you cut the skin, section it off, later on after you fry it, it's easier to cut because the skin going to shrink, open it up, so it's perfect for you to portion the meat out. This one also have you can use the pork ribs also. The ribs is also nice and tender. Now, traditionally, this is ready to go. If you say the sauce, you don't want to fry them, this is ready already. You just heat it up with a bowl of rice, is perfect. But this one, I can fry it, and I can have it with a glass of wine or a cold beer is perfect. Cold Filipino beer is perfect for this. So we're going to fry them. Because the cooking at home also, the burner are not as strong. So I don't want to put too many pork in there. And if it's going to splash, you can find something to cover it. Because it's the nature of the pork skin, when you fry it, it's going to splash a little bit. So you can put something to cover. And you don't want to put too many pieces of the pork in there, because then it's going to reduce the temperature real quick. So we're going to fry until the pork crispy. So now, how long you're going to cook the pork, it depends on how crispy you like, right? Some people don't like it too dry or too crispy, so you don't cook it too long. Now, because when the first one almost done, you know that the temperature of the oil going back up again, so I can add another piece. But when I add it, it might splash, so I got to wait a little bit. So after about 3 to 5 minutes, you see the nice color, golden brown. Then we're just going to fry another piece. Remember, it's going to splash, so you want to cover a little bit, so make sure that it doesn't burn you. And then, so this pork is done already. Now we're just gonna cut it. You see how nice and juicy? It's still soft in the middle, but it's nice and crispy. So we're gonna put that on the pan. So that will be our crispy pork adobo, pork belly adobo. So you can use a piece of lettuce and then add a piece of pork, a little bit of tomato. I like cilantro, but these are not necessary, okay? Then you just wrap it up and you just dip it into that adobo sauce that we have earlier and so much flavor in here, so nice. Oh, I'm sure you will like this recipe. I hope you enjoyed our crispy pork adobo. Give us a call or email me or message me on the social media if you have any question, okay? Thank you for watching. Aloha.